people.
Are we burning the sun?
Above all people.
Right, the Lord said we above all the nations, man. Right? That's why he created us in his likeness and to move in such a spirit that the nations can't handle it.
God.
Right? They look upon the so-called black and Hispanic, man, and they filled with envy, man, and hate, man. Hey, come here, brother. One scripture, brother. Real quick. What's your nationality?
What's up? Black and Native American.
Right, what's your father?
Black.
Right, well, the problem with black, that's just a color.
Exactly.
Right, and
I'm American, really.
Well, American.
Even though we were brought here from,
American.
I'm with some people though. I can't.
Well, hold on real quick. Let's get one scripture.
Right.
28:68.
This Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 68.
Right.
And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again.
Right, this is the Lord talking to the Israelites. You familiar with the Hebrews? Right, in the Bible?
Yeah.
Moses, let my people go. Right, so this is Moses talking to them after he let them go. He's saying he's going to bring them back into Egypt. Now, Egypt has a biblical meaning according to the Bible. It actually means slavery. Right, let's just prove it real quick. Deuteronomy 6 and 12.
Come. This is the book of
one scripture.
One more, yeah.
This book of Deuteronomy 6 and 12.
Right, this is important, brother, because you just
And
said you don't
I
know
just
your
got.
nationality.
I'm sorry.
So
I
check
just
this
got to
out.
dip.
Then beware lest thou forget the Lord,
Right,
which,
because the Lord said you're going to forget him, brother. Right, read.
which brought thee forth out of the land of Egypt
Right.
from the house of bondage.
So Egypt is the house of bondage. It's a place of servitude and slavery. So check this out.
And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt
The
again
house of bondage, slavery again. Read on.
with ships.
What?
With ships.
The Lord said he's going to take his chosen people into a slavery with ships. Hold on, brother. Who went to
I
slavery on
gotta
ships?
go. I'm
But hold on,
on
who went to
time.
slavery on ships, brother?
Sure. I'll come back though. I gotta go.
What nation went to slavery? Hey, brother, what's going on, brother?
What's going on, yo?
What nation went to slavery on ships? See that? Our elders have failed us, man. Our elders have failed us. Right? So, hey, if you didn't know, we went to slavery on ships.
God.
Right? You blacks and Hispanics, man. And that's in the Bible. Right? The Holy Bible says that. Right? Get first Maccabees 8 and 11, man.
God.
Right? And these curses are reoccurring things. Right? So that same curse of going to slavery on the ship, hey, that happened during the time of the Greeks, man.
God.
Getting on the Greeks. Right? So bring that out. First Maccabees 8 and 11.
First Maccabees chapter 8 and verse 11.
Right? It's like your sister. Y'all got 2 minutes for the Bible? One scripture? Right? I got one scripture? Right? See that? Bring it up.
First Maccabees 8 and 11.
Right?
It was told him besides how they destroyed and brought under the dominion all other kingdoms and isles that at any time resisted
It's like
them.
your second Maccabees 8 and 11.
God. It's
Right?
the book of Second Maccabees chapter 8 and verse 11.
Right?
Wherefore immediately he sent to the cities upon the sea coast.
Upon the what?
Upon the sea
Right,
coast.
upon the sea coast, read.
Proclaiming a sale.
Doing what?
Proclaiming a sale
Read.
of the captive
For
Jews.
the captive Jews, man. So you had Jews in captivity getting sold off of ships, man.
God.
Right? And these same curses will be upon the seed forever of the Israelites, man. Right? So, I mean, so who else could be the Israelites then? Who
God.
else could be the Jews, man? Right? When the damn small hat mafia, when the small hat community, when did they go to slavery on the ship? Man?
Never, man.
Right? They actually funded the slave ship.
God.
Right? They're actually Khazar, they're actually converts, man. Right? So the Lord not dealing with that. Right? Let's get on it. Right, let's get on the Khazars. Read that from the top, brother.
God. Second Maccabees 8 and verse 11.
Right?
Wherefore immediately
Right.
he sent to the cities upon the sea coast,
Read.
proclaiming a sale.
Doing what?
Proclaiming a sale
Read on.
of the captive Jews.
Right, so you had Jews in captivity, right, getting sold. Right? Keep reading.
And promising that they should have 80 bodies for 1 talent.
Right?
Not expecting the vengeance that was to follow upon him from the Almighty God.
See that? So he had no idea they had a judgment set up for him. I actually didn't grab the book. I was trying to get the 13th tribe. Right? But that's okay, man. Right? To show how these Khazars, they actually converted, man. Now you can look that up. The Khazar Empire, right? They converted in the 600s to so-called Judaism. But it really just took the culture of the Israelites, man. Right? Because everybody in the Bible, they're so-called black people. Hey, did you know that? Right? Jesus Christ is a so-called black man.
You that white boy?
Right? The so-called white man won't admit it, man.
At all.
Did you know that? That Jesus Christ is a so-called black man? Right? See that? The pink man. The pink man. Right? Going to slavery, man. Right? But nonetheless, hey, the Lord said these chosen people, they will be punished and they'll go to slavery on the ship.
Con.
That's how you know we the chosen people, right? Get Hosea chapter 8, verse 13.
Con.
Right?
This is the book of Hosea, chapter 8, and verse number 13.
Right.
And it reads,
Read.
Salaki, they sacrifice flesh for the sacrifices of mine offering,
Right.
and eat it, but the Lord accepteth them not.
Right.
Now will he remember their iniquity,
Right. The Lord said, I'm going to remember their transgression, their sin. Right. Read.
and visit their sin.
Right.
They shall return to Egypt.
They shall what?
They shall return to Egypt.
Right. Now get Hosea 1:1. Right. Because they said they're going to return into Egypt. Now the Lord told us we weren't going to go back to Egypt. Let's see what Hosea was written. Bring it up.
This is the book of Hosea, chapter 1 and verse 1.
Right.
The word of the Lord
Right.
that came unto Hosea, the son of Iberian, in the days of Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah.
See that? This is during the time of the rulership, right, going into right after the northern kingdom got taken out in 722 BC under Shalmaneser. Right, so when did the Jews anytime around this period or after go back into Egypt? Never. Right, it's not talking about that. It's talking about a futuristic event where the Lord would take his people and put them back into a captivity like state, man. Back into a lower state. Because Egypt, Mount Zaria, it means double straits. And where straight means a bad or a sorry condition.
Con.
It's double that, man. And this is double straits right here, man.
That's
right,
right.
we in hell, man.
Con.
Right, we look around, we see the so-called white man reigning over us. Right, you see trannies, man. Right, you see homosexuals, demons, devils, man. Everything wicked and abominable. Right, what's going on, brother? Right, you know your nationality? You know your nationality? You know your race, your ethnicity, brother?
Yeah,
What is it, Kane?
I'm definitely not Ethiopian.
Definitely not Ethiopian.
right.
At
All praise
all.
to the Most
Yeah.
High.
But
Right.
gentlemen.
Well, hold on, brother. Hold on,
No,
brother.
I gotta go. What are y'all?
Hold on. What we asking you, brother?
I'm a Moorish American, brother.
Moorish American? Did you know that the word Moor is just a term that was given to Arabs and Africans and Jews that was Islamic back then in the 700s?
Yeah.
Right, so how are you Moor? That's just a term given to multiple nations.
You know, but
Right.
it all depends what nation you came from.
Well, hold on. That's what I'm saying. Moor is a term given to 3 nations. So I'm asking, what is your nation? Right, give me Tobit 5 and 10. But I'm asking your nation, King. Right? Just bear with me. Bring
I
this
mean,
up.
I'm on the clock though, so.
Con, this
Hold on,
Tobit,
okay.
chapter 5 and verse 10.
Right?
Then Tobit said unto him,
Right?
Brother, shew me of what tribe and family thou art.
Right? You got to show me what tribe, what family you come from. Who are you really?
How long
Right?
y'all
Because
gonna be out here? I get off in half an hour.
right, we're going to be out here for a couple hours.
Okay. I want to see that. I want to order one of them books.
Well, hold on. You an Israelite,
It's the
brother.
Bible, King.
Right? This the Bible. 16 and 11.
Israelite.
Right? You an Israelite,
I
King.
want to debate that with you.
Right? God's
All right,
chosen
come back
people.
then, brother.
Right? God's
You know
chosen
something?
people. Right? You'll be an Israelite.
You know something?
Right,
I
look,
like,
somebody
hey,
look up.
I like an educational conversation, especially when it comes about being knowing self.
Well, I want you. Hey, what's going on, King? Come talk to us, brother. Come talk to us, King. Come here, big bro. Come here, bro. Real quick, big bro.
I don't want to come over there.
We got one scripture. One scripture, King. What's your nationality, bro?
I come over there and do so I got you.
Right, you an Israelite, brother. Right, you an Israelite, and y'all will be Edomites according to the Bible.
Con.
Esau, Edomite.
Right, you'll be an Edomite, man. Right. I didn't want necessarily Moorish. I wanted just look up more.
Because more come back like this. Moreno.
No, not more, but
Yeah,
more.
Moreno,
Right?
man.
In Google, I wanted
Okay.
I get some information on more, man. Like that's just a term, man. Right, it has no significance. Right, this is Google search.
It's really just a byword.
Yeah, that's all it is. It's just a byword, right? Right. Right. Hey, brother, getting off the bus.
Come here, brother.
Come here, brother. Right. There's one definition to it. One.
Type up Moorish Empire.
Yeah, click that first option.
Going into slavery.
Ethnic and religion.
Yeah, click that.
You
one.
too.
The term more.
Slack, right? Scroll down. That's what I want.
Don't nobody want that shit.
Right, I want to actually show. I mean, this whole thing. Yeah, this one right
This
here.
right here, the
Yeah,
etymology.
read that top part.
Con.
Hey,
More.
Slack, hey, brother. Come here, brother. 2 minutes, brother.
Real quick, brother. Real quick.
Once we got one.
I remember you, brother.
Con, this is more. on Wikipedia.org.
Right.
Moors are not a distinct or self-defined people.
You see that they weren't distinct. First of all, because it was multiple nations, right? Second of all, they weren't defined. They didn't define themselves as that. That was a term given unto them. All right, they never called themselves Moors, right, Reed?
The 1911 Encyclopedia Britannica observed that the term had no real ethnological value.
You see that term has no ethnological value. There's no value in calling yourself a Moor. That's not a real nationality. Right? Can you read it?
Europeans of the Middle Ages and the early modern period variously applied the name to Arabs.
To who?
To Arabs.
Arabs, right?
And North African Berbers.
And North African Berbers, right? Which is so-called Israelites and Africans. Because you had Israelites, right, that was getting kicked out by the Visigoths out of the Iberian Peninsula, out of Spain, and they kind of fled to northern Africa. They teamed up with the Africans and the Arabs, and then they kind of conquered Spain. That's the Moors. And it was converted to Islam, actually, right? The Islamic religion. Right?
There's more on that too, King.
To the Babylon Temple 2, right? Keep reading.
It says, as well as Muslim Europeans.
As well as more Muslim Europeans.
Yeah, white people call more.
Right? So if you was a Muslim, they was calling you a Moor, right?
That's plain.
So we got to kind of deal with that. Right? I mean, this whole thing is kind of
Hispanic.
right. No, they're not Hispanic. Right? Get this right here. This last sentence. Right there.
This is Babylon of Timbuktu, page 44.
And I just literally just flipped it open and kind of just found this random insert. Check it out.
It says, with the defeat of Jewish and Christian power in Arabia, the stage was now set for the rise of a new power on the world scene.
You see that? Now this is going to the Mohammedan expansion, right? Because you had the Byzantine Empire, right? Then you had the Persians. I believe they was called the Sassanid Empire at the time, right? And rulership, right? Read.
God, this new power was Arabian.
Was what?
Was Arabian.
Was Arabia, and they started conquering all the parts of Africa, the Levant, and so on and so forth. Right, and one of the areas they conquered was Spain, huh? Right? They conquered Spain, right? Can you read it?
The Arabian Empire, with its new religion, Islam, established the superstructure of its culture on the ruins of the Roman Empire in the Middle East, Africa, and parts of Europe.
Right, so they basically was forcing Islam upon men, right? Forcing them to be Islam, and then they, was conquering these different parts of the earth.
Good.
And one of those parts was the Iberian Peninsula. Let's get that. The Moorish Empire was at page like 80 something, I believe. Might have to look in the front real quick. Look at the table of contents. Right? A lot of Edomites, man. We looking for Jake, man. I'll be out here for Jake.
Nasty.
Like
Heathen.
Pages in the 80s. Where it says Moorish Empire. Yeah, right here.
109.
Yeah, 109. All right, let's get page 109.
Where, brother?
Let's kind of get into it. Just read from the highlight.
God.
Like getting on the Moors, man. Check it out.
From Babylon of Timbuktu, page 109.
Right, so you got to understand, first of all, it was an expansion with the fall of the Jews and the so-called Christians. It's really just going to the Israelites that was ruling the Byzantine Empire. Right? Can you read it?
God. Mulay Idris, the descendant of Ali, the son-in-law of Muhammad,
Right.
brought northern Morocco under his control.
Right, northern Morocco. That's right there, right under the Iberian Peninsula, right under Spain and northern Africa. It was conquering northern Africa, right? The Mohammedan expansion, right, Reed?
Late in the 7th century,
Right,
his son and successor was Idris II,
right,
who founded the kingdom of Fez.
right.
At this time, in the land of Spain, the black Jews.
The who?
The black Jews.
You had Jews, because the Visigoths was Edomite barbarians that took that land over. Because get real quick, get first Maccabees 8, right? First Maccabees 8, I believe like verse number 2, right?
It's First Maccabees chapter 8 and verse 2. And right,
Actually, start at 1. Start at 1.
Con, First Maccabees 8:1.
Right?
Now Judas had heard of the fame of the Romans,
Get Revelation 17 and 15. Right, bring it up.
that they were mighty and valiant men.
Right, this is the Romans, mighty and so-called valiant men. Right, get second Ezra chapter 11. Second Ezra chapter 11. Right, try like verse number 39 or so. Right, right. So the Romans were mighty and valiant men. That's that fourth beast. Right, can you read it?
And such as would lovingly accept all that join themselves unto them.
Right, if you joined yourself to the Romans, you could be a part of that army. Like men like Cornelius. Right, he was, accepted and he joined that army. Just like Esau do now. You got Jake, their general.
Going into slavery.
Jake is in these, it's like, hold your peace, gang. You got these different nations, right? They goddamn join themselves into Esau and then they fight in this wars. Like second Ezra, I just want to precept on the Roman Empire. Second Ezra chapter 11. Right? Yeah, wherever you get there.
11 and what?
39, I believe. Like verse
4 beasts.
Yep.
It's the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 11 and verse 39.
Right?
Art not thou it, the remainest of the 4 beasts,
Of the 4 beasts, right? This is talking about that last beast that Daniel spoke of, right?
whom I made to reign in my world,
Right?
that the end of their times might come through them.
Right?
And the 4th came and overcame all the beasts that were past.
Right? And the 4th came and overcame all the beasts that were past. Right? That's the Romans. They were mighty, valiant men, right? Read?
And had power over the world
They had power over the world, man. The Roman Empire. Read?
with great fearfulness.
With what?
With great
With
fearfulness.
great fearfulness, right?
And over the whole compass of the earth with much wicked oppression.
With much wicked oppression. That's the Roman Empire, man, that we're reading about in 1 Maccabees 8. Right? So keep reading that. 1 Maccabees 8. Right? Touching on how the Romans, they actually had conquered Spain, bro.
Con. 1 Maccabees chapter 8 and verse 1 continuing.
Right?
And such as would lovingly accept all that join themselves unto them and make a league of amity with all that came unto them.
Right?
And that they were men of great valor.
Right?
It was told him also of their wars.
Of their wars, because they had many different wars. The 2nd, 3rd, 4th Macedonian War, right? The American Seleucid War. The Roman Seleucid War, right? You got the different wars they was fighting against the Greeks, man. Right? Keep reading.
And noble acts.
Right?
Which they had done among the Galatians.
Right? The Galatians, right? The Gauls, right? The French, right? Read?
And how they had conquered them and brought them under tribute.
Right? They brought them under tribute, read?
And what they had done in the country of
And
Spain.
where?
In the country of Spain.
Right? Hispania, read?
For the winning of the mines of the silver and gold which is there.
Right? And that's called the invasion of the Iberian Peninsula. Right? So you had the Romans, they conquered the Iberian Peninsula back in these times. But then you had the Visigoths, when Rome began to fail, they reconquered Edomites, the Goths, the Visigoths. So they conquered Rome right after it failed, that part, the Iberian Peninsula, and you had Israel there. So the Visigoths ended up converting to Christianity and started kicking the Jews out, man. And that's where you come here and fast forward to 700 AD, where we reading about them kicking these black Jews out of this area. Because the Jews ended up reigning in Rome. Right, real quick, get that in, you can drop it, Revelation 20 and 1. Right, and Israel started reigning in Rome. Right, the so-called white man wasn't reigning in Rome the whole time, huh?
This is the book of Revelation, chapter 20 and verse 1. And I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit,
Right.
and a great chain in
Right.
his hand. And he laid upon, he laid hold on the dragon,
Right.
that old serpent, which is the devil,
Right.
and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years.
And bound them 1,000 years. Right, get Job 30. Get Job 30 and verse 5, right? When they was there dwelling in the caves, man.
It's the book of Job,
Right.
chapter 30, and verse number 5.
Right?
They were driven forth from among men.
The Lord say?
They were driven forth from among men.
Right, just look it up. Look up the wild man myth, right? So-called myth, where you got the depictions of Esau in the 12, the 13, 1400s, the 800s, and you see them crawling around like beasts, hairy as hell, man. Right? But they call it a myth, right? Keep reading.
They cried after them they cried after them as after a thief.
Read.
To dwell in the clefts of the valleys.
To dwell in the clefts of the valleys, read.
In the caves of the earth.
In the caves of the earth, read.
And in the rocks.
Right?
Among the bushes, they brayed.
They just kind of made grunting noises, man. Right? Didn't speak any kind of language that you could actually understand, because it was driven forth into the caves of the earth, man. Right?
They actually said they didn't even have first or last names. They had no names.
It was just wild beasts, man. Right? And you can even see the pictures when you look at the so-called Moors. They fighting off the so-called white man, and they in castles, and the so-called white man is attacking them with clubs, man, kind of in weird gear, right? So you can actually look this stuff up in history, man. This is actual history that you can look up. But nonetheless, you had Jake ruling in Rome at the time, the Byzantine Empire, things like that. So when the Visigoths kind of, got back in power, of course they go kick out that remnant of Jake, man. Right? And they always mask these wars as Christians versus Jews. When you look at the Visigoths, why they kick the Jews out is Christianity versus Jews. No, that's Jacob versus Esau, man. Right? That's the so-called white man kicking Jake out, man. Right? So read that part again. At this time.
From Babylon to Timbuktu, page 109.
Right?
At this time, in the land of Spain,
right,
the black Jews.
The black Jews, because you had Jews reigning at that time, or you had Jews that did reign, but then they kind of got conquered by the white man, and now they kicking them out. The Visigoths, right?
Were persecuted, and many have fled to Morocco for refuge.
Right, like look up, when did the Visigoths convert to Christianity? Right? Because they wasn't so-called Christians at first, and that's why the Romans called them barbarians, because they didn't follow the customs of the Romans. They had a pantheon of gods, right? And they was coming from these different areas. And Christianity spread due to Jake anyway, reigning in Rome, right? Because the Romans was polytheistic, right? The actual first Romans, right? Right, so the Visigoths, they actually converted in 589 BC to Christianity, right? And then, they start persecuting the Jews, man. Right, so it had nothing to do with Christianity versus the Jews, man. Right, that's just how they mask these different wars, right? Keep bringing that up.
As a result of this persecution, the Jews of Morocco and the Moors.
Right, the Jews of Morocco. So you had Jews in Spain, and you had Jews in Morocco, right? That's known as the diaspora, right? We were spread out through all nations, right? The Jews were in every nation, right? Get that in Psalms 107, I believe 26.
This Psalms 107 in verse 26,
right?
And it reads,
I believe that's what I want.
Help me.
Right, try one up.
So like one page up. They mount up to the heaven. They go down again to the depths.
Try what's that, 106?
It's 107.
Try 36. Okay, try 106. 106 and 26. 106 and 26. Yeah, bring it up.
Psalms 106 and 26.
Right.
Therefore he lifted up his hand against them,
right,
to overthrow them in the wilderness.
Right, to overthrow them in the wilderness, read.
To overthrow their seed also among the nations.
Right, so the Lord overthrew our seed amongst the nations. Now, we reading about the 700s. What happened in 70 AD? Right, the Jews got persecuted and split and spread throughout all the nations, right? That's what happened. So you had Jews in Morocco. You had Jews set up all throughout Africa and in Spain, right? So the Jews in Morocco, they kind of teamed up with the Spaniards, and they teamed up with the Moors, because the Moors had conquered that land. The Arabs had conquered that land. They all teamed up and invaded Spain. That's what it's going to say, right? Read that in Babylon Timbuktu.
Continuing Babylon and Timbuktu, page 109.
Right.
Moors, Salakia. As a result of this persecution, the Jews of Morocco and the Moors planned to invade Spain.
Right.
With the assistance of Spanish Jews.
Right. You see that? The Spanish Jews, they all teamed together to conquer Spain. Right, read.
In the meantime, the plot was uncovered, and the Jews of Spain suffered for their intentions.
Right.
Early in the 8th century, the Mohammedans from Morocco united with the black Jews,
Right.
made what we call an amphibious landing at Gibraltar.
Right, Gibraltar, that's one of the top cities in Spain, man. They kind of teamed up. So you had the Mohammedans and the black Jews, right? Which is really just it's like saying a white Polish man, right? Because the Jews, they black, man. Like the Jews are a dark race of people, right? But nonetheless, this is where you get the whole thing going with the Moors, man. Right, when you dive into the history and understand what's going on. All right, you can keep reading that.
Con.
Yeah, keep reading that.
This invasion was successful.
Right, the invasion was a success. Right, and that's why you got the Reconquista, where you had for 700 years, the Spanish was trying to get back in power. I guess when the Spaniards conquered, guess when they got back in power? They ended the Reconquista in the 1400s. What you got in the 1400s? You got the so-called New World exploration, huh?
Renaissance.
Age of discovery.
Right? So soon as so-called white man started coming back in power, all hell broke loose, man. Right? And that's what the Lord said in Revelation 20. Jake will reign for a disposition of time, and once that serpent got loose, he was kind of cut loose to let all kind of destruction go on the earth. Right? Get Revelation chapter 6. Chapter 6, and I believe I want verse 3.
This Revelation 6 in verse number 3.
Right, so this, that's the history of the so-called white man right there, man. Right, the Lord kind of put in his spirit to rebuild the desolate places, like it's saying in Malachi.